Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips podcast for December 29th, 2013, our last podcast of 2013. We're back in the office, thankfully, even though it's bitterly cold outside. I'm Andy Ryan. Joining me as always is my co-host Dave DeWart. Dave, what did you play this week?
Okay, so it was Christmas here and everywhere probably.
Yes.
For those who celebrate Christmas.
It's not an American-only holiday.
No. For those who celebrate Christmas, it was Christmas. Hanukkah was a couple weeks ago. I think Kwanzaa started like the day after, whatever.
Kwanzaa starts the day after Christmas.
So my wife gave me a game that I've been asking for a while. It came out very recently, Tearaway, and I believe you got it too.
Yes, I got it on a flash sale.
Oh yeah, it was what, like $15, $30?
No, it was like 17 something.
Yeah, and that's what's like, I was sitting there and I was like, oh man, I should have spent my $17. And my wife would have killed me if I'd done that. Because then she'd been like, that game is charming. It is fun. It uses the Vita like the Vita is supposed to be used. Like you use every facet of the Vita with it.
And it's not like Assassin's Creed or some of the other swiper games where you feel like you're kind of doing finger jujitsu, trying to get everything. Like when you have to touch the back of the pad, it makes sense. Like the camera's not wheeling around. No. The game is designed in such a way that if you have to take a picture of something, enemies aren't bearing down on you.
Yeah, I mean, there is one time, and especially to get one of the papercraft recipes, you have to take a picture of an enemy. So it's that was kind of tricky because they move and you have to buy the different filters and the different lenses and stuff. But it is a very, very fun game. Like it's not super long.
I'm gonna fix your PC. He has the male guy who is Iota, but everyone knows you're not a real gamer unless you play the girls. So that's why right there.
Okay, fine, whatever. However you want to do it.
That's who I play as.
And he's playing the female character, which she's got more stuff that animates. She's got a lot more
the flowing
stuff going
hair,
on.
the little flopping leaf.
Yeah, and it's such a charming little game. Yeah, you have to make mittens. There are other times where you have to make you have to draw a star. You have to draw like a crown for the Squirrel King.
I liked it. That was the first time I was really like, this game is super fun. It makes you smile.
It does, and it's not that's cute. You know, that's a cute little kids thing. That it is a genuinely charming, funny.
It reminded me
game.
a lot of both Ni no Kuni and the whimsiness of it.
Yeah,
and the fact that it just pulls you into its papercraft world. Like I remember the harbor, coming down that lighthouse and walking across the little shoreline and seeing the paper waves.
They come out and they go in and they curl up and then they roll back out.
It looked so cool. And also Mario 64 in the way that it just makes the system make sense.
It does. And you know, if we get more adventure games like this on the Vita, I think a lot of people are going to take notice and go, hey, the Vita is actually like a really awesome platform, which we know it's already a really awesome platform, but you know, they may have a hard time selling it to other developers and things like that. Like,
I mean, but like a lot of the coolness of Tearaway is that it's built around this paper mechanic, papercraft, and that lends itself to cool interactions with the Vita. You know, tapping on the back screen to bounce the drum heads.
Yeah, to bounce the drum heads or to.
So I would actually sit there sometimes when I was at work and just tap on it and just get like a good rhythm going, like with the music.
Yeah. Or you know, like the puzzle solving, it gets real. Like there's some pretty neat stuff later on. You may not have seen it yet, but you have to like tilt the Vita in order to move platforms and stuff. And your dude is kind of stuck to it, but you still have to do it. And then there's some times where it bugged out on me once where I had to like close out and then reopen it at that save point. But as far as like bugs and stuff, it's not a buggy game. It is very fun. It is very cute. I love the papercraft thing. I like how it uses both cameras on the Vita to great extent.
I like how it called one of them a selfie. You have to take a selfie.
You have to hit the button.
There we go.
Yeah, you hit the button and it flips the camera around. You're taking a picture of your character, and how you're like, you are the sun.
Yeah, that
like,
was the.
Your face is in the sun and everything.
It immediately,
so awesome.
like every time I see it, immediately makes me smile. Like, because it tells you, look, you're not smiling. Like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And then there's a sequence later. Where you have to like take 3 pictures of yourself. It's like take a neutral face, take a picture of your face with your mouth open, take a picture with your eyes closed.
And then animates them in the computer screen. I liked that.
And it's like it gives yourself a little GIF of yourself.
Yeah.
And that stuff just shows up throughout the game. Like there are times when you find the little presents, occasionally your head will just pop up.
You have to kind of pull. I like how you have to pull the ribbon off the presents.
Yeah. You swipe it and then it opens up. It's really this game is so neat. I'm playing through it again.
As an adventure game, there's a lot of things that I think other developers can take from this. Like I would really, after playing through, how far am I? He beat it.
I already powered through the whole game. It's that good that I beat it in a couple of days. Like I got it Tuesday night and I beat it Saturday morning or Friday night.
So how far would you say I am?
You said you were just after the lab?
Just after the lab. I'm just falling down that little cave chute where you have to go through the little...
Where all the things are on pillars and stuff?
Yeah, and you have to kind of... Well, I'm not even that far yet, but you're falling down. You have to kind of go through rings, paper rings.
That happens a couple of times, I think. But I want to say you're a little over halfway.
Okay. So even being halfway through it, there's a lot of things that I think I want to see a Double Fine Vita game. Because think about what I was thinking of when you're doing the pushing through the paper with your finger, that wouldn't work in other games. But what might work is, picture if you're a plumber and you're underneath the sink and you're looking at the top of the sink and you have to kind of move the stuff around in the sink underneath, move the dirty water so you can see the bottom of the sink, and then you have to move this stuff on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Or even just the rolling and tilting and stuff. Like I would love to see a Curse of Monkey Island game with this.
Yeah, and we've seen that point and click games like The Walking Dead and stuff like that work really well on the Vita.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing works like this game does.
This game has took all of the ingredients in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And came out with a wonderful
crazy
dinner.
paper casserole.
Yeah.
It is. Had we not already decided our game of the year 2 weeks ago, this would have been my game of the year.
I think a lot of that is.
This game came out 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, this can be a good transition. I think a lot of the problem with Tearaway is it's on the Vita, so not a lot of the main news outlets, but a lot of the blog outlets aren't covering it because maybe they don't have a Vita, they just don't have the time to cover a Vita thing. The Vita doesn't get you that many clicks, so that's a problem. Sure. It also came out after the new systems. Yeah. So it's launched. I mean, it's kind of like when I realized they launched a new Ratchet and Clank game the Tuesday before the PlayStation 4.
Yeah. And
you're kind of like, okay, well, you should have moved some stuff around a little bit more to get away from it. So I think it's coming out too close to the end of the year. It's overshadowed by Game of the Year nonsense.
Yeah, and the new systems and all this other stuff. There's a million other things going on.
It's the same thing happened to Puppeteer.
Yeah, and
Puppeteer is a wonderful game.
Puppeteer looks like a game that I would really like to go back and play, just because there was so much other stuff that was coming out when it came out, and there was so much other stuff going on at that point.
But the flip side, I think when you select a game of the year, the games that come out right at the end of the year run into a problem. Because a lot of it is am I going to like this much in a month? Or 2 months or 3 months?
Because you don't have time to reflect on what came out from January and June and all of that. Because this game came out literally 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. It hasn't been out that long. And so you really you're I love this game, but does it have the longevity to go back and I'm going to play it again and again and again. Mm-hmm. And
when BioShock Infinite came out, everyone loved it. Mm-hmm. And then it started, the middle is kind of laggy and, the combat's not super snappy, which I don't agree with, but I've heard many people argue about that. Not every game is going to be Call of Duty, and you shouldn't expect it to be. But so Tearaway's problem is we love it right now, but it bugged out on you once. It's bugged out on me once. Yeah. And the bug out on me was I was walking, and then I came just to the edge of a paper. Mm-hmm. You know how it uses the paper to kind of look like cobblestones? Yeah. I came right to the edge of it and fell right through the world.
Aww.
To me, those are always game breakers. I'm like, now I hate this game because I fell through the world.
No, when it bugged out on me it's in a later stage where you not only have to control your character, but you also have to roll another person through, and they're in the little ball mode, and you have to tilt the thing. It's like a labyrinth thing while you're doing that and moving the platforms for your character to get further. It focused on the other one, and I couldn't figure out where I was, and I died 3 times. And
so what I'm saying is, this game, Tearaway, hasn't had that time of everyone sitting with it. Yeah. And sometimes that's a detriment. Sometimes that makes you not like a game as much as you did. but sometimes it makes you like a game a whole lot more. Like the game we're going to talk about right now.
Yep.
Our best game of the year that we played.
We both played.
The Last of Us. Now, I mean, if you heard about us talk about this when it came out, and then again when we both had finished it, and you had then heard last week's show where we're talking about really great games of the year, and you noticed we didn't mention it at all, you would say, oh, well...
Probably The Last of Us. And this has made a lot of, like, top 5 games, if not the number 1 game of the year for a lot of places. And there's a lot of really good reasons why.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons where I come back and, like, say, like, well, if I were to, like, the front runners for top game of the year are, like, Gone Home, Bioshock Infinite, Last of Us, The reason I would choose The Last of Us out of those 3 is that I feel The Last of Us, in and of itself, is the largest, most complete package.
Yeah, it is. It takes all the best stuff out of the action of an Uncharted game, and then it puts you in this world where everything has gone to hell, and you now have to figure out how to get this girl to where she needs to go.
And it does a really good job of, like, not letting you be Nathan Drake and just awesome and, like, shooting from the hip all the time. Like, it makes it harder for a reason, more realistic, and that's one of the criticisms I've heard. Was like, well, the shooting's very bad. Well, but this is also a game.
Your guy's not like a military guy, so
and you're not supposed you don't have to shoot everyone to get through it. Like,
no, you can sneak up by him.
There's a reason bullets are very hard to find.
Yeah, it is, and there's the scarcity it gets worse on the harder difficulty levels. I played it on normal, and I hoarded bullets because I really didn't like shooting anyway, because it would always draw more zombies and draw attention to yourself, and that's just not a great way to play that game, because once you get so many guys on screen, you're probably going to die.
Yeah. It's not that there's a frame rate hitch or there's any glitches in the game. It's just that you are now overcome.
Yeah, and that's what would happen in real life. Like, if there's 6 guys, you're not going to shoot your way out of it unless you are super awesome ninja.
It's not a game like Left 4 Dead or Resistance. I mean, not Resistance. Well, kind of Resistance, and Resident Evil and Dead Rising, where you want, like, part of it is like, oh, you're this badass that can take on an army of zombies. It's literally like, you are a broken man and a little girl.
Yeah.
Your best option is always to run away.
Is always to be sneaky and hide. Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff I liked, before we get into the plot too much, because the plot's where a lot of the stuff I liked is going to come out. But I liked the interaction between the 2 characters. And the fact that even the parts that weren't story beats, like if you were both behind cover and Joel walks behind Ellie,
he would always put himself in front of.
Yeah, he'll like protect her a little bit and then move on.
Put his arm around, so she doesn't move backward or forward.
It's the thing I really liked about Uncharted 2 and 3, where like Drake's going through a tunnel and he puts his arm on the wall like you normally would to get your balance and kind of
keep your balance around. And just kind of keep
like feel out the space a bit. It was a lot of those beats, but in relation between Joel and Ellie, and kind of the things that I think showed that Joel was a father, Joel was a dad, like, and how he reacts to Ellie.
Yeah, and it's just so damn good. Like, the voice acting is top notch all the way across the board,
and how the character models actually like emote those things.
Yeah, like the facial expressions that they give don't ring false. A lot of the times. Sometimes it looks a little weird.
In a lot of other games, a lot of the things I feel like, especially when they do motion capture, I feel like the acting is really great and the movement is really great, but the face is where it fails.
Yeah,
part.
And they did a great job with this. And there is
like Last of Us, like when you first meet Joel after the beginning,
after the intro,
just how he moves and how he looks, you can tell he's an old busted guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was at the beginning of the game. I would estimate he's probably about mid-30s, right?
Yeah, probably.
Mid-30s, maybe 40. And that would put him, 20 years later, that would put him almost 60.
Yeah.
And you got a 60-year-old guy trying to protect the, 13, 14-year-old girl with all the bad crap that's going on around you. It's your guy isn't going to be like Nathan Drake. He's not going to be spry and all that. He doesn't
flip from ledge to ledge.
No. There's not a lot of crazy, parkour climbing and stuff like that.
And I think a lot of the coolness of The Last of Us comes from putting you in the shoes of a person that games don't normally put you in the shoes of. This old busted guy who, if I could think of one word to describe him, I would say tired.
Yeah. Tired of all this crap. In
fact, it's like a common theme is Joel sleeping.
Yeah.
Now that I think back, there's a lot of scenes of him waking up or going to sleep or
Poor Grandpa Joel.
Grandpa Joe.
And also, later on there are sequences of the game in which you play Ellie, and that's also a segment of the
Like I like how
the
Ellie,
world that you don't normally get showcased in a game. You don't normally
course.
play a young girl.
Yeah.
Usually, when you play a female character, she's mid-20s, late 20s, something like that, and an adult. So you don't normally play like a teenage.
Like I think that
girl.
like the portions where you play Ellie, the thing I liked about it most was how the character model reacts if you're near people versus when you are not near people. Like when you're not near people, she moves with a little bit of confidence, and I don't know if they actually changed the character model for this, or it was me reading something into it, or maybe it was something from the cutscenes or whatnot. But how she reacts to people that aren't Joel is great and amazing and a really evocative.
Well, she's super, super cautious, and she knows.
Skittish.
Yeah, well, I mean, and when you think she grew up in the world as it is in The Last of Us, she's kind of come to know, not everybody can be trusted, so treat everybody like they're out to get you.
Yeah.
And then once they've earned your trust, it's okay to be normal or whatever around them. And that's the kind of like little bitty details that go with The Last of Us that makes that game so damn good.
Yeah, this game is definitely a devil in the details. And it's beautiful too. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm really expecting any day now Sony to go, hey guys, Last of Us Super HD on
for the PS4.
PS4.
Yeah. We've already got an Uncharted game, and we know is coming for the PS4. We don't know anything about it other than it's Uncharted, and it sounds a lot like it's going to take place in the 1600s. Whenever.
But they always sounded that. Like that was a side note. That was something people read into the trailer for the new Uncharted game. That has been in every trailer for an Uncharted game ever.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
the first Uncharted trailer was supposedly Sir Francis Drake narrating this voyage, and then the next one is the dude that went to China.
No idea.
Marco Polo.
Okay.
And supposedly his journey, and then the third one was Lawrence of Arabia guy.
Because that's what that whole
thing is about. And now this one's about like Madagascar and the African coast, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's an Uncharted pirate game, just like Black Flag." Like, probably not.
I don't think it's going to be an Uncharted pirate
game.
But
Nathan Drake.
I'm with what they did with The Last of Us and what they've done with Uncharted 3. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled off something amazing with the new Uncharted game.
Well, Naughty Dog has always pulled off amazing things.
Yeah, and being somebody who plays
I'm really glad that this generation of PlayStation 3, Naughty Dog has gotten like the tip of the hat. Like I was hoping Insomniac would get one for their stuff with Resistance.
Well, I mean, Insomniac is now a multi-platform developer because they're making a game for the Xbox One. I think it's also coming. Is it coming to the PS4? I don't know. Either way, like being somebody who played a lot of PC games this generation, going from a PC to playing The Last of Us. I mean, yeah, you can see the limitations that they had, but they're kind of blurred. Like you can go, okay, there's a flat texture of that grass, but that grass looks really really nice.
They do a really
shadows
good job of like squeezing that last. I think
every drop of power out of the PS3.
The Last of Us is this generation's God of War 2.
Yeah, it is one of those.
It looks amazing, and
technological swan songs for the system.
Yeah.
I mean, and we still have good games coming out. I mean, Beyond looked really awesome too, but that's not why we're here.
That's not why we're here. So let's stop talking about other games, Dave.
Sorry. Well, I'm just saying.
So let's talk about the story, because I think that's a spot where we can't start talking about other games, Dave.
No, we can't start talking about other games. Well,
so the thing I liked about the story, we talked about it a lot when we first talked about playing through Last of Us, is that opening segment. And I've heard a lot of people say they love that opening segment, and then the part right after it, before you get out of the city with Ellie and all that, when we're all setting up how horrible. That's such a slug and so horrible. No, I actually like that part.
The first bit of the game it's a bit of a sucker punch. Do we want to do we want to spoiler it up?
Spoilers. I mean, this
Game of the Year stuff. You're probably, if you haven't played The Last of Us by now,
pause this, go play it.
Yeah, pause this, come back in like an hour and a half, whatever. Play the first hour and a half of the game.
Well, play the whole damn game, because we're going to talk about the whole damn game. Because one of the things I really like about The Last of Us is its ending.
I mean, as soon as that game starts, right, it's when everything goes bad, or very soon after, and Joel is trying to get his daughter out of the house. And then his brother comes by, and then there's that whole sequence at the beginning of the game that kind of threw me off because you're first person of the daughter riding in the backseat of the Jeep, right?
Well, you're not first person of the daughter. You're actually you're controlling the daughter. You're the cameras behind her.
Oh, okay. But you're in the Jeep and
Yeah.
you're riding around town and you see all this crazy
The world
shit
going to
on.
shit.
And, you know, at the end of that sequence, she gets bitten. Or during that sequence, she gets bitten or something, right?
No, she gets shot.
She's shot. I thought she got bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
The guy
She becomes injured and doesn't make it.
does not make it, dies.
Yes.
And it's because she gets killed by a
Soldier.
military guy, a soldier. And gas mask and everything. And Joel's like, no, it's my daughter. She just needs help. She just needs help. And he wastes her. And
Yeah.
then Joel's crying.
The guy thinks she got bitten or whatever.
Yeah. Thinks they both got bitten. Thinks everyone's infected.
Yeah.
But
And then you just
right
does
after it,
hard
like,
cut
that's
20 years.
Yeah, that is such a sucker punch. And then right after it is the world that is broken.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone says it's such a slog. It's so horrible. I really like that part because that part is that sets up the fact that Joel is not a nice guy anymore.
No.
That he is tired and achy and screw everything. Everything can go to hell. He does not care anymore.
Basically, he's a I want to say almost like a mercenary.
Well, he's
like
a smuggler.
Yeah, so you give me supplies or whatever, and I will get you stuff from A to B.
Yeah.
And then if I don't make it, well, then that sucks for me.
I don't make it.
You're not out anybody except for
Yeah.
whatever you gave me to make the trip. So
The whole getting through that first night scene, getting through that office building in the rain, looks amazing, looks beautiful. Does a really wonderful job of making the clickers, the fungus-infected humans, really scary.
yeah.
And the fungus itself, the virus itself, with putting on the gas mask and going through the
It's all
the haze, spore
based
haze.
on this. Yeah. It's a nice little twist on the traditional zombie thing.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, you've been bitten and now you're going to turn into a zombie. It's not like The
Yeah.
Walking Dead, everybody's infected. It's,
It's these spores will get in
if you inhale
and
these spores or if
destroy your
you're
brain.
attacked by one of these things, you will turn into this walking nightmare.
Yeah, and one of the things I liked is you're going through that little spore area, you come across a guy that's breathing and is like, kill me. I thought that was really cool, really nice touch. Seeing how the fungus has infected everything and kind of grown very weird, and you'll see like dead bodies that have like smashed up against a window, but the fungus is growing on the window out of their head, and it's very good, very nice. I love that first section. The section with who's Joel's partner?
I can't
What's
remember
her
her name. She dies
before
a couple hours in.
Yeah.
After you pick up Ellie,
the part where she gets
doesn't make it.
bit and finally tells Joel, go ahead and do this, like do the right thing, and he doesn't want to.
He didn't want to take the girl without his partner, and then
He doesn't
she
wanna
winds
leave
up
her
buying
partner.
them some
Yeah,
time.
he doesn't want to leave the partner behind. She's just like, go ahead and do it, and then getting out of the city and getting to Bill's his name?
in that little town that he's in.
Yeah, that little town,
booby
Bill.
trap to hell
It
town.
turns out Bill's gay.
Who cares?
Yeah, I didn't, but that was the point. Like, it was so subtle that he had a husband and everything. That you would, like, that's how, in my opinion, that's how homosexual characters should be treated in games. Like, so.
Didn't even notice that.
Didn't even notice, didn't even care, like, totally, like, just how they're, like, treated just like normal people.
Yeah, and that's see, I didn't even notice that. Like,
Yeah,
maybe I wasn't paying
either, but
attention to
a lot of
the
people
story
have
or
mentioned
whatever.
it. A lot of people have mentioned it in these Game of the Year discussions that this character Bill is gay.
Huh.
It was just like,
Okay.
weird. Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Interesting. I'll have to replay that section to figure out what you're talking about. But yeah, no, I didn't even
But
notice.
that's how it should be treated.
Yeah.
And that's, kudos to Naughty Dog for doing that. But that section with how isolated Bill has become, and kind of like holding a mirror up to Joel of, if it wasn't for your partner and you living in the cities, you would be this guy who's crazy.
like a hermit.
Yeah, and I like that scene where they're both pushing the truck and the zombies, the infected come out. Got to push the truck some more, and like it was very tense. Really good job of just building and building and building and building.
The part where you have to kickstart the truck, right?
Kickstart
Because
the truck,
it doesn't start on its own. So.
And it was just building and building and building. It had never really been done in an action, especially even in a zombie game before.
Yeah.
Like normally you're sitting there with the generator, pulling the generator, but this was like you're moving, so you can't your environment's continually changing. You have to protect the truck. There's nowhere to hide. You can't get behind cover.
Yeah.
They're coming at you from all angles. It was really good.
It was, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of those sequences, like a lot of those real tense sequences in the game. There's one fairly early where you get picked up in like a rabbit trap and you're hung upside down.
Oh yeah, that's that's the beginning of Joel's.
Yeah, and you have to start popping zombies while Ellie cuts you down.
Yeah.
And there's a couple
protecting Ellie while watching the perimeter from more zombies, while making sure they don't get close enough to you.
Or her. And
that you can still shoot. Like it was, the game's hard. Like it is a challenge.
That sequence took me a little while to get through.
Yeah.
Like I died several times and Ellie died several times in that sequence.
And you're supposed, like I think the game is supposed to be challenging.
Well, yeah, it is.
Like it's supposed to put you in the shoes of Joel.
And like we said, you know, the scarcity of you know, ammo and consumables and things like that. It goes up in
the whole building mechanic of, do I want to build up my bow even though I might run into an area with not a lot of arrows?
Yeah.
Do I want to build up my pistol even though I might? There's been a lot of pistol ammo so far, but there might not be in this next part where I'm going.
I kind of built up the hunting rifle, and one of the there's a rifle that you get.
I'm trying to think what I built up: the hunting rifle and the normal pistol, not the Magnum.
Yeah.
Because the Magnum kicked too much to be worth anything, but the normal pistol I could pretty assuredly.
Yeah.
But the problem with that was I built those two things up, and then whenever the giant infected, the super bulbous armor dudes. It would be super hard for me to overcome those obstacles because the hunting rifle is not very good against them because you have to stop and shoot.
And it is a long range weapon, not a short range.
And you can't really get far enough from them like to use it. And then the pistol is just never going to do enough damage.
Yeah.
So I always kind of had to kite those people, find something in the environment
that they would get caught on.
Well, no, to put a barrier between me and them that I could circle to continually put a barrier between the two of us, so I could keep popping them off.
Yeah,
pistol.
I think I used the shotgun a lot on those.
Yeah, but I never upgraded the shotgun. So by the latter part of the game, the shotgun was never worth a damn.
Yeah, I put a couple of upgrade points into like the capacity, but not so much into like the damage or the reload speed or anything like that. I did think it was kind of funny. I think you can do this. I don't remember clearly, but like you would just add capacity to a rifle or a pistol. If you could do it to the Magnum, I always thought was kind of funny because it's a 6-barrel thing, but now you have 7 bullets. And it's like
Borderlands.
It's like Borderlands where you've got a 6-shooter that's got 9 bullets in it.
Yeah, the little thing keeps changing. The bullet casing carriage.
I don't know what it's called. Off the top of my head.
The revolving part. I don't know guns. I thought all that was really good, and the game was set up in such a way that like it signposted those things to you. Like you're upgrading this stuff, but you might run through this entire next 3 hours of game with
and not
5
find any
rifle
ammo.
bullets.
Yeah, it is, and then that's the trade-off. You have to spend your upgrade gear points.
When it switched to Ellie, the minute it switched to Ellie, I was like, damn, I wish I would have spent more on the bow.
Yeah.
She starts out with the bow, and it's like
you have to hunt that. You have to hunt that stag for and it took me a while because I hadn't used the bow a lot at that point.
Let's get to the story a bit more. Let's talk about that when we get to it. And after the Bill part, running into the different groups of survivors and how that sets up Joel's moral ambiguity when she's like, "How did you know that was an ambush?" And he goes, I've been on both sides.
I've been on both sides of that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, once again hitting you like, this is, like, he has made mistakes, not a nice guy. And then getting to finally that part where he meets his brother again, and his brother's like, you've done some shit,
Yeah.
No one asked you to do that.
And you did it anyway.
You did it anyway, and like, he's just signposting, not a nice guy.
No.
And also seeing the part where you meet his brother again, seeing how the survivors are living, because you meet the older brother and the younger brother earlier, and then the younger brother gets bitten, and the older brother kind of goes crazy, and you have to kind of off them both.
Yeah,
because
I knew from the second that you run into those two that it is not going to end well, and one of the two of them is going to get bitten.
It was pretty much like, oh, both these people are going down.
Yeah. There's no way they're coming with me after so long, but
especially after the way Joel's partner exits. You're kind of like, whenever I get extra characters in my party, they're not gonna last. But it was a surprise how long they did last for.
There was that whole chapter, right?
Yeah, that
it was
Philadelphia
just them.
section of meeting them, getting through the city with them, and then getting out of the city with them. But then contrast that, like the scraping by, going through the dam and seeing how that society basically built itself up, locked up inside of that dam. I thought was really cool, really amazing how they did it.
Yeah, there's some really, really interesting things.
And it was a really stark contrast to you had that society, which was kind of very totalitarian and
the dam city, and then you had his brother's city.
Yeah, the brother's city, which is, oddly enough, now I think about it, also in a dam. Weird.
But I mean, it was more like like a township,
like Jamestown. Like everyone works, everyone eats.
Yeah.
You know, we all take care of each other.
You have a leader, but that's only because he's the guy that assumed that role. It's kind of, I don't want to draw like a lot of comparisons to this to The Walking Dead, but it's kind of like, you know, Woodbury in the Walking Dead series, where there is,
but there's no, like,
everybody has a job and
evil. Like,
well,
if I were to draw a comparison between
Joel's brother isn't an evil, crazy bastard like the governor.
If I were to draw a comparison between the city that Joel's brother lives in and The Walking Dead, I would say it's the new season where they're all in the prison and they're trying to run things as democratically as possible.
Yeah, it's like that. But yeah, I mean, it's you can't help me with
The
those
Last
parallels.
of Us, infinitely better than The Walking Dead TV show, on par with The Walking Dead video game.
Yeah, I like.
In terms of emotional sucker punch and where you should spend your time if you only have a few hours.
Yeah, it's very, very good. And
then moving to the Colorado University part, I loved that because I you know, it's been a while since I was in college, but feeling that how the college experience deteriorated in this instance of a zombie outbreak.
Yeah,
and seeing like the messages people writing like, hey, I'm going to such and such with my parents. If you get this, come here with us.
Or like when you find the football stadium, Ellie's like, what did you guys do here? And he's like, oh, we used to play.
Yeah, and he's talking about it.
We used to play football. He's like, well, what kind of game is that? And he has to like sit and explain to her.
And then he's like, you play a couple runs, get it. And it kind of like sets up like how weirdly esoteric the rules of American football are versus this girl that clearly doesn't like. I liked when you wander through the record shop and she was like picking up vinyls and she's like, so people used to listen to music? Yeah.
And like, you know, she finds like comic books and stuff. One of the collectibles is the comic book.
What was the name of the comic book? Like Starlight or something?
Yeah, I have no idea what the
I was like, that's why this was the first time I went out of my way to find collectibles, not because I wanted to find collectibles, but because I actually wanted to bring back comic books for her.
Yeah, and I found a lot of those. I didn't find all of them. I think I found like 8 or 9. But yeah, I mean,
it's kind of like the Killzone game. I found enough to like get the general basis of what the story is going on in there, but not enough to actually like go like there's pages missing.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so
Shattered
much.
Starlight, Silent Starlight.
I have no idea. I know there's.
I'll look it up right after this.
I know there's a lot of stuff in that game that everybody loves. Like technologically, it is a proficient game. It excels at making the PS3 sing. Oh yeah. You know, there's very little frame lag. The only time I really had any was like when it's quickly switching between like what you're seeing and then a new camera movement, like the sniper section where you had to snipe.
The sniper section I had a problem in. I had a problem in the outside. Oddly enough, the outside of the bus station. You know, where there's all that medical evac tent stuff and the tents are moving. I had a problem inside, which is weird because I thought it would have much.
The problem would have been outside where all the extra shadows are.
Like extra shadows. But I think the problem inside was all the fog, and there was just so many people because you're supposed to take care of quite a few of those people that are outside when you're outside. Yeah. I didn't know that.
You left them, and then
I left them, and then went in the building, and then got to a spot where I was like,
"Oh, hey, there's like 25 guys."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I got to a spot where I got myself in a position where I was going to get caught." So I got caught, and then everyone comes in.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that game, the way that the way that the story flows throughout it, and it feels like, okay, this is totally something that they put hundreds of thousands of hours into, and just the way that the writing was so good.
Keeping you on your feet, and not like keeping you on your toes, but keeping you on your feet, keeping you that like something's always coming, and you're going to be ready for it, and you can get through it if you think with both of your brain cells.
Both of them? Oh,
yeah, the one time I felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath me was the stag hunting scene. So we're getting to that. So in Colorado, kind of moving through the Fireflies area and seeing the weird monkeys, and it was a science. Monkeys. And then the whole story through the audio log stuff about like he wants me to kill the monkeys, but I don't want to kill the monkeys, so that's why there's monkeys everywhere.
And I'm gonna set them free, and then the monkey eats his face.
So which is funny. But then Joel getting hurt, which I thought was the end of the game, and then we kick up 6 months later, and we're hunting a stag, and just how silent everything was.
It's the dead of winter, and
Yeah.
Ellie's out there trying to bag this, like 10-point buck or something, and you chase him around, and it's not a very large area.
No.
But the only way you can really track him is through the blood that he spills
Yeah.
after you shoot him with the arrow the first time.
So you have to kind of be good at the bow and arrow, which I wasn't.
No.
It has this weird arc shot to it that I just.
And then figuring out like the way, like how to put enough tension on it to get it to go the full arc and not just half of the arc isn't necessarily something that you just have to play around with and figure out.
You get the feel.
Yeah. If you used it earlier in the game, it's not so bad.
It's another reason I want, which I didn't, but it's another reason I want the PS4 version because my finger would slip off the tension stick.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, damn it.
And arrow just goes right there. But you can recover a lot of those arrows.
Yeah,
though,
which is good.
Yeah. You can't do that with the bullets.
Yeah. Oh. And then that scene after it when the Infector are coming for you and the crazy guy.
The guy that's actually voiced by, what's his name? Chris Nolan? Nolan North?
Nolan North?
Yeah, I think his name's Dave. Or David. I think that's the character's name. But yeah, he's
The
voiced
other
by
guy's,
Nolan North.
the other guy's Troy Baker, right? Was Joel.
Yeah,
Joel was Troy Baker.
he was a different guy.
Which is weird. Every time I see Troy Baker, I'm like, how does Joel's old-ass voice come out of you? But that always happens with voice actors. The only voice actor I've ever seen a picture of and go, yeah, that figures, was Nolan North and Nathan
Drake, because they look exactly
Yeah.
alike. Yeah.
And he's even like, Drake's just my voice.
Yeah.
This is the Drake voice.
This is how I talk. Get over it.
So the cool kind of flip side as you have to then juggle between Ellie sneaking around the city and the old ski lodge, which I also really loved.
That was a
because
really good thing.
When I was a kid in Chicago, I used to spend time in those, like the kind of places that get set up to go to in winter or summer, or like your kids only see concrete, so here's a tree.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see those lodges.
It was really cool, and the way that sequence plays out, where you have to like.
And there's so much sneaking through it, and you're just like, tension.
You're sneaking past all the bad guys, and then you wind up. Is it a sawmill or whatever it is that you get stuck in with the dude, and then you have to like shoot your way out because there's no way out of doing that. At that point, I had just banked up a whole bunch of the little shrapnel cans. Yeah. So I'd thrown the shrapnel cans down the hallway to make sure that
I wasn't really good at. I didn't make the shrapnel cans as much as I should have.
I made those every time I had enough.
I got really good at taking them off the wall. I was like, oh god, like you get hit with one of those and you're like,
pretty much toast.
Note to self: don't hit tripwires.
Yeah. Okay. Mental map note. Like, okay, there's a thing here. Let's pull that off next time after I die in 2 seconds.
But then Joel having to, as the sick guy, get up and how Joel moves through that. That was the first snowstorm in a video game. This was the year of snowstorms now that I think about it. Even though Resistance 3 came out in 2012, I played a lot of it in 2013. Yeah. Dead Space 3, that whole Tau Valantis.
I mean, you think about it. You've got Lost Planet is like an entire planet just covered in snow.
3 came out. Yeah. This is the year of the snowstorm. It's odd considering we got stuck in our homes the other day.
Would have been a great time to play those
Stop
games.
talking about other games.
Okay. Anyway.
And then having Joel get through and that whole back and forth fight of you kind of went through sneaking through the map as Ellie, and then to get where that steak Ponderosa type restaurant.
Yeah.
And then figuring out like as Joel, limping sick Joel, trying to shoot and kill all these guys Rambo style, figuring out the map to try and get to Ellie.
Because did it switch back and forth? I don't remember. Yeah. So you'd play Ellie for like 10 minutes, and then you'd play Joel for like 10 minutes, and you were just trying to triangulate where everybody was, and you finally start getting into some familiar areas. You're like, this is where I gotta
go into the city from 2 different angles, and once you kind of start figuring out like there is the clock tower that I can use as a landmark. And then moving to the Ponderosa restaurant.
Yeah.
And the whole thing in the Ponderosa restaurant was awesome. I think it was one of the best boss fights of the year. A lot of people have complained about it. I loved it. Sneaking around as the guys screaming stuff at you.
Yeah.
And then, once again, hard cut to then nice and sunny Salt Lake City in the spring.
Yeah.
With all
there's a lot of hard cuts in that. It's like there's a lot of stuff that's happened between.
The moment with the giraffe was really good.
Yeah, when you're walking around.
Like, I've only seen those in books. Like it really made me think like, oh yeah, had the world been destroyed, you would never have seen a giraffe.
Yeah, but I mean, really, I don't know. Giraffes aren't really made for that kind of climate. Like
Yeah, they
maybe
wouldn't have survived.
maybe if they had moved from
The Fireflies would have had to have helped them survive the winter in
Yeah.
Salt Lake City.
especially 20 winters.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
way to break the game. Sorry,
Yeah, way to
it was
break-
still a really cool,
Really cool
a really
sequence.
cool scene. But when you think about it, it's like.
And then came the hardest part of the game, which was going through that sunken underground tunnel. Because there's so many of the super infected in there.
There's a lot of bad stuff in that tunnel.
That was the time I started regretted not using the shrapnel cans more often, regretted not using the bow more often. Like, it was bad. Like, I had to do a lot of, like, throw out a shrapnel can, get someone's attention, kite them over here,
Yeah.
kill them, with a shiv, go back over, shrapnel can, kite someone over, kill them with the shiv, and then I was just left with, like, 3 of the giant pondering guys, and I was like,
Well, crap.
grabbed the shotgun and just kept throwing out the shrapnel cans, like, this is how it has to be, I hope I live.
Yeah, and that's probably the most effective way to do that is to like, because if I remember, there was like a body of water or something between you and them, so you can kind of stand on the other side of the body of water and just pop
But they'll
at
come
them.
at you.
They'll come at you through the water, but they're
yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
It was. There's a lot of really like, oh crap, how the hell do I get out of these type of sequences? And you know you will have to play them 2 or 3 times. Like I died several times on some of those sequences, and I'm like, okay, I just once you learn the patterns and stuff, it's like that with all video games though. So.
But once again, the game's challenging. Once again, it does a good job of keeping you on your feet. Like,
It does.
you have the tools to get past this horde of monsters.
Use
them. Like, if you use them wrong, you will not be able to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not that there's a right way or a wrong way. It's that this is the tools in your toolbox. Good luck.
And you have built up your stuff in certain ways that it may have hindered you and make this more difficult, but you could still do it. It just takes a little bit more skill.
My hunting sniper rifle I got really good at hitting the big guys. Like, there's a spot you can hit them in their head.
Yeah.
That basically headshots them. It blows their head apart, and it's like, I got really good at finding that spot during that sequence.
You had to.
So then comes the ending, and the ending of the game, which flips the script on its lid. Instead of playing against these crazy clicker things that just run at you, you're now going against tactical people that are coming in. And I really liked it. But the only problem is, it did one thing in the game that I didn't want to do, was when you finally get to the room where Ellie is.
Yeah.
And they're going to operate on her and take the...
They're gonna take her brain.
Yeah,
because
well,
the way
it's
that
the mylar membrane, whatever, forgot what the name is, but it's the membrane that the brain sits in. It's basically a bunch of blood vessels that the brain just sits in. They're going to take that off, which is going to kill her. And they tell Joel this, and Joel's like, "You're not killing Ellie," which I think is Joel going, "I've done a lot of shitty things in my life, but I was supposed to look after this girl."
The whole crux of why he has to go in and get her is because she made the decision that I want to do this. I want to try to help people.
Yeah, she even
whatever.
says, like, even if I have to die, I want to do it. But he's not willing to let that go.
No, so he breaks in and does whatever
Yeah.
to get her out. And that sequence, that was also one of those sequences where it's like, okay, you're not just fighting dumb zombies.
Yeah.
You're fighting people.
Guys that actually want to kill.
Yeah, and they use different tactics. They'll try to flank you. They'll figure out where you are.
Does a good job of blinding you with that damn flashlight, just like the guys in Killzone do.
They do.
Like, God damn it.
So it's a lot of, okay, now if you've played Metal Gear Solid, here's where all that comes in, because you have to be sneaky and you have to sneak up on a lot of guys, and as soon as you shoot, everybody's going to come down on you, so you need to do that like at the very, very end.
Yeah, you need to know, like, have everyone marked, ready to go.
Yeah.
So when you get in there, the doctor's like, you're going to have to kill me, and I wanted to just, like, punch him and lay him out, whatever that one's called, that they do in the action movies.
Right cross or whatever.
Right cross. And the game wouldn't let me do it, so I had to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I wish I could have let that doctor
If you could have
live.
pistol whipped him
Because, like, if
instead.
that's the one doctor that can solve everything, I want to let him live.
Yeah.
But then the ending of the game, which a lot of people have had a major problem with, and why I think the main reason it's probably not on a lot of Game of the Year list, is that you have to understand that that's not the choice you made. Like, that's the choice that the character of Joel made.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to lie to this girl for the rest of her life because I want her to live.
Yeah.
And it's not because she wants to live, it's because it's very selfish.
Yeah.
And they've been signposting it. That's why I don't like how people are like, oh, it came as such a shock and everything. And they were signposting this thing the entire way.
Yeah.
That, like, he is selfish.
He wants to keep her alive for himself, not for himself in a weird, like, pervy way, but because she reminds him of his daughter that died at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, so he's keeping her alive so that he can feel like he succeeded at that job
At
of
being
keeping her
being a
alive
dad
and being a dad. And it's so well signposted throughout the entire game that when it got to that moment and she's like, they're looking over that Montana civilization, she's like, did you lie to me? And he's like, no.
She goes, okay.
It's okay.
Fade to black.
Fade to black. End of the game. And I was like,
yeah, it was a good, like the whole ride through that just, it was exciting through like three quarters of that. There was a couple times where like, oh crap, what's going to happen? Oh crap, what's going to happen? You know, oh no, Joel, I forget what happens to Joel.
Naughty Dog's really good at like continually making you want to play their game.
Yeah, they are. They're
Like
really,
with
really
where they
good
put
at that.
checkpoints and stuff, they're like, you're going to want to,
yeah, that was
they're the
another-
masters of, okay, one more level, 5 hours later, one more level.
Yeah, and you know, the checkpoints, that was another thing like that kind of bothers me. Some games, the checkpointing is really crappy. You have to go through like 3 or 4 different things that tear you down each time.
Here's the thing. Here's 2 examples of shitty checkpointing. First example, knack.
Yes.
The checkpoints are way too far apart.
Yeah.
Like you have to play through 20 minutes to get back to where you were, to then play 20 more minutes to get to a checkpoint. That's shitty design. Call of Duty, every single Call of Duty game, the checkpoints are way too close together. You don't have to shoot anyone in that game, just run forward.
Yeah, you could just keep running. I mean, the checkpoint spacing is
Yeah.
pretty
And in Last
on
of
spot.
Us, like,
spot on.
they found the nice area.
Yeah,
To
where
like,
you know
keep
you
wanting to play more, but not feel like you're continually pushed through the game.
you clear a couple of like if you're in a building, you clear a couple of rooms, checkpoint. Clear a couple of rooms, checkpoint.
Yeah.
You know.
Whereas in Knack, it would be you clear the entire building, checkpoint. Or in Call of Duty, you cleared a room, checkpoint.
Yeah.
So it's very good. Naughty Dog did an excellent job of this game. I think it's a wonderful
They
swan
play tested
song.
the hell out of this game.
Yeah. I think it's a wonderful swan song for Naughty Dog on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't want them to release another game on the PlayStation 3. Now I want them to release stuff on the PlayStation 4.
Well, I mean,
because I feel like the arc of their video game storytelling from Uncharted, Drake's Fortune to The Last of Us is perfect.
Well, and I'm pretty sure, other than the DLC that they're putting out for Last of Us, they are done on the PS4.
Oh, I'm sure. If they're doing a
or
new
PS3.
Uncharted game.
Yeah, they're
But
whole
they're-
hog onto the PS4
They're
now.
now a 2-team studio. So
Well, we may get.
this was actually, oddly enough, The Last of Us was Naughty Dog's B team.
Oh, that's kind of scary if
Yeah.
that's their B team.
The
Holy
A
crap.
team was Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, and is now Uncharted.
Uncharted again.
So whatever this team is doing, I'm really excited for. Like, I feel like I want to see more in this world. I don't want to see more with Ellie and Joel.
You want it to be like the difference between the Walking Dead show and the Walking Dead game, where it's the same world. You're just seeing a different story around that.
Like, I want to see what happens. Like, this was all about getting from point A was Boston, point B was Salt Lake City. I want to see point A be LA. You know, something even more densely populated, LA. Like maybe to Seattle or something, or like London to Paris, something like that.
That would be cool.
Like, I think if you were to go back into the Last of Us world, that's the only way I feel like you could really do it.
Is to not take this story, but to make a new one.
You know, or do a story about Ellie finding out about the decision Joel made, and maybe it's her journey from Montana on.
Yeah, and you know that may be, if they make a sequel to that may be what happens. Like when it starts up, Joel's like 7 years old, dying, and that's what.
I don't want to see Joel's redemption story. I don't think he. It's kind of like they always talk about the God of War. You know, Kratos killed his wife and daughter, is now killing all the Greek gods. They're like, well, when is it going to end? Like when Kratos says it's going to end.
Yeah.
Whereas Joel's journey has ended.
Yeah. We're pretty sure that there's not going to be a lot
he
more
has
Joel.
what he wants. He has the daughter in a safe place. He can live his life.
Yeah. Whatever's left of it.
Yeah. So yes, The Last of Us joins The Walking Dead as. Well, did we do just The Walking Dead last year, or did we do The Walking Dead and Journey?
I think we did just The Walking Dead.
Okay, so it joins The Walking Dead as PixelBlips best games on our best game list.
Yeah.
These next couple weeks, we're going to be looking back at some of our random favorite games from this past generation, and just talking about stuff. Because you know what, January and February,
Kind of dead.
Not a lot of video game news.
Not a lot going on.
There you go. I hope you guys all had a wonderful holiday season. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, I hope you continue to have a wonderful holiday season. And we'll be back here next week. So don't forget to spay and neuter those Pokemon, and